So you've finished your draft. Now what? Hi, welcome to WriterQuest. I'm Robert Gibson. Please remember to subscribe on that little button below and then ring that little bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. I try to post every other Monday. Let's talk about alpha readers and beta readers. It's one of the scariest things for a writer to talk about because once we've finished our drafting, we really want somebody else to read it and get their feedback, but at the same time, we're really afraid of letting somebody else read our work. What if they don't like it? What if they don't like this character or this line, or if they think the pacing is off, and what if my writing is really as terrible as I think it is while I'm editing? The truth, however, though, even if we don't like it and we battle within ourselves on whether or not we actually want somebody to read our writing or whether or not to let anybody else read it at all, is if we intend to move ahead and work on getting our work published, people are going to need to read it. Whether that's alpha readers and beta readers, or an editor, an agent, a publisher, or a actual reader that buys the book later on. And the idea behind alpha readers and beta readers is it's better to get somebody else's feedback as early on in the process as you can. That way you can fix things that are a problem before they're just massively changing everything you've got. So what are alpha readers or beta readers? Well, the short and easy answer is that they're just people you get to read your book. But the long answer is a little more complicated. Alpha readers and beta readers they're kind of the same thing. They're people that you look for and you ask them to read your work before it's published and give you feedback on it to let you know what works, what doesn't, if it reads well, if it doesn't, if the story's right, if it's not, if the characters all sound the same, whatever it may be. The difference between the two is that alpha readers, as the Latin name implies, read it first. They are your first readers. Now, this could be after your first draft, this could be after your second draft, it could be after your third draft. Really, what the difference is they are the first people to read your book, and you're not going to send this off to a publisher yet. You're asking for their input so that you can improve the story before you send it to publication. A beta reader is basically the same kind of person, but you're having them read it a little bit later in the stages of drafting. You're having them read it closer to when you're going to send it for publication. Usually, you have a beta reader do their job right before you send it to an editor or off to query. They are vital. Do not skip your alpha or beta readers. Where do you find them? Where do you find an alpha reader or a beta reader? You can find them in a lot of different places. You can find them in your friends and family. One of my alpha readers is my mom. My sister-in-law is another one of my alpha and beta readers. So you find them with family, you find them with friends. I'm the youth leader at our church, and several of the kids in our youth group are my beta readers. I think 4 of them read the book and gave me feedback. A couple of people that I work with have also been my alpha and beta readers. The real key to finding an alpha reader or a beta reader is threefold, really. First, you want to find somebody who actually wants to read your book, not just somebody that's like, well, I guess I'll read it if you really want me to. Those kind of people aren't what you're looking for. You want people that are energetic and excited to read your book. And I know that a lot of you are probably thinking, well, yeah, but I don't have anybody like that. I'm willing to bet you do. If you tell people you're writing a book and you are excited about what you're writing about, and even if you aren't real good at putting it into like short words, like, oh, what's your story about? Every writer struggles with that. Okay, so don't feel like because you can't sell it very well, no one's going to want to read it. Just boil it down to simple. You know, my book is about a retired warrior who gets pulled back into the world when an ancient evil resurfaces to threaten the nations he cares about. I said that a little clunkily. It's not really the way I normally describe it, but that's the gist of my book. You kind of describe your book. Think of what you would want written on the back of your book, and that's how you describe it to people. If you get excited about that, they're going to want to read it, especially if they know you. If they're really good friends with you and they want to encourage you, they're going to want to read it because they're interested in you. Those are the people you want as alpha and beta readers. Number 2, you want people that are going to be thorough and honest. A lot of people were like, here, mom, read my book. Nothing wrong with that. Parents and real close family tend to be in the court of read a 300-page book and, oh, it was good, I liked it, I think it was really nice. That doesn't really help you. That's never the feedback you're looking for. If your parents or grandparents or people like that, they're probably not the best choice for your alpha or beta readers. But if they're going to be that thorough, like they're going to read the book and think about the character and think about the story and the plot, and they're going to help you kind of go, well, you know, they did this over here, but then they went over here and it kind of acted against character a little bit. Or, yeah, I'm about halfway through the book and all your characters are kind of the same. Those are the kind of feedback things you want from people. If you've got some grammar Nazis in your family, probably not a bad idea to incorporate them as well, even though as an alpha reader, as a beta reader, that might be more helpful. As an alpha reader, you're really looking more for story problems. Are the characters working? Are the plot points working? Does the twist work? That's what you want from your alpha readers. Your beta readers, if you want one or two of them to go after the grammar and your punctuation, great, go for it. But your alpha readers are an earlier group. Number 3 for what you're looking for, you want people that are going to finish your book. This is actually the hardest part of finding an alpha or a beta reader. Finding people you know that might be excited about the book is surprisingly easy. I started telling people about my book and I had people just like, I want to read that. I want to read that. I have people that gave me great feedback. My alpha readers and beta readers were just out of this world helpful for me. But some of them didn't finish the book. They'd get 10 chapters in and stop, and I wouldn't hear from them for months. Those are the people, and the problem with that is you don't know who those people are going to be most of the time until you've given them the option to read your book. So you don't want just 1 or 2 beta readers. You want 5 to 10, 15 maybe, because some of those people are never going to finish it. Some of those people are going to not give you good feedback. Some of them might not give you any feedback at all. So you want to kind of make sure you've got a big number. Now that you've found your alpha or beta readers, what do you want them to do? This isn't as simple as a question of, oh, well, I want them to read my book. Of course you do. They know that, you know that. That's not a goal. What do you want them to do? They're not just reading it to read a book. They're reading your book to help you improve it. So what do you want them to do? You can give them a checklist of what to look for. Hey, I want you to look for story, continuity issues. Do my character voices all sound the same? Is my writing clunky? Does it flow? Do the chapters mold or meld together well? Does each chapter make you want to move on to the next one? Ask them questions. I printed mine out on a sheet so that they had something to kind of reference back to. And you can do that, or you can just simply tell them, hey, I'm looking for whatever input you have on the story. Or, hey, I really want you to read the story, but really I want to focus on the climax. Is it working? Does the end of the book feel abrupt? Does it feel natural? Whatever it is you want them to look for. There's not a real set, this is what an alpha reader has to do. It's really up to you as the author what you want them to do. But you need to give them concrete guidance. If you just say, hey, I want you to read my book and give me feedback, you're going to get a lot of, I liked it, I thought it was good. But that's not what you want. You're going to get that and you're going to go, oh, okay, cool. But that doesn't help you. That's not a helpful comment. It's nice that they liked it. And ultimately, you want your alpha and beta readers to like your work. Of course you do. But they're there to help you. So you need to give them guidelines on how to do that. What do you want them to look for? Do you want them to look for story structure, character arcs, character voice, punctuation, grammar, chapter length? Does it feel too long? Is it too short? You want them to check your hook. Did this book grab you? Or did you kind of have to work into it? Both of those are honestly okay. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you, oh, you have to have a big hook. I've read some books where it takes me a while to get into because a hook is subjective. Some people are going to get hooked by your first line. Some people might not get hooked till 8 pages in. Readers are different, so don't focus super hard on that kind of thing. But you have to give them guidance on what you want. What do you want them to do? To divide the pieces, you're going to want your alpha readers who are reading it early on. My alpha readers read my first draft. That's gutsy, I know. Most writers don't let anybody read their first draft. They'll maybe start alpha readers on the second draft because the first draft is usually, it's messy. But whenever you choose to have your alpha readers do it, your alpha readers are usually looking for the big problems. Your story doesn't make sense. I don't understand why this character would do this in this instance. So you're looking for story problems, plot problems, plot holes, plot issues. You're looking for character development issues. Is there an arc to the character? Can they identify it? Do all your characters sound the same? This is a big one. You really want them to look for that because most writers write with their own style, but a lot of times it ends up with characters that are cut and paste, where you could take this guy, and this is what they're saying and doing, and you could flip-flop them and no one would know the difference. That happens a lot, and it's really common early in your drafts. So that's something you really want your alpha readers to look for. Beta readers, on the other hand, are generally going to read the book when it's a little more polished. And for me, I wanted a few of my beta readers to be the same people as my alpha readers. I had 5 alpha readers. That's it. 5 people. And they read the first draft and gave me back my feedback. So for my beta readers, I wanted to expand that. I went back to those alpha readers and I got a couple of them to do beta reading as well. I think 3, although only 2 of which have finished the book. But then I went and found other people to be my beta readers. I wanted fresh eyes. I gave them some of the same guidance. Look for story problems, look for character voice, look for those issues. But I wanted those fresh eyes and a fresh take on the book so that they could give me new feedback. Things that the other people hadn't noticed. Those beta readers that I kept from my alpha readers, I wanted them because I wanted them to be able to see the changes that happened between the first and the second draft. My beta readers read it after the second draft to identify the changes and if the changes worked. Did they improve the story? Did they make it worse? Since they knew what was there before, they could see what was changed most of the time, and they could say, hey, this changed work, or I think you should go back and do what you did the first time, or whatever. It's good to have a little bit of overlap between your alpha and your beta readers, but I wouldn't recommend having them all be the same people. Change it up, get some fresh eyes on it, and get some of the ones that were your alpha readers that didn't really do what you needed. Don't use them again. That's just a waste of your time and theirs. After that, you can have a 3rd draft, a 4th draft, whatever, and you could go back to beta readers if you wanted and have them read it again. However, you don't want to overload them either. You don't want to have 8 drafts and then have them read it 8 times. They're going to stop. They're not going to want to do that. So that's why we say alpha and beta readers. That's it. You have the alpha readers read early on. You have the beta readers read when you feel like you're like maybe a step and a half from getting ready to query or publish or whatever. And these alpha readers and beta readers, they're important whether you're self-published or traditionally published. Self-publishing, they're vital. You absolutely have to have them because self-publishing, they're the only people that read your book before you publish it. Nobody else gets to put eyes on it. Well, aside from an editor. But that's it. Even going to traditional publishing though, it's going to get read by an editor, it's going to get read by your agent, it's going to get read by a publisher, and they're going to give you feedback as well. But don't use those people as an alpha or a beta reader. They are your professional polishers. You use the alpha and your beta readers to get your book ready for those people. So use alpha and beta readers. Now, some writers use beta readers only. They don't have alpha readers, and that's okay. But you want to have at least one of the two, and I'd recommend both because it really helped me. The feedback I got from my alpha readers helped me make the right changes to the story in the second draft, which really made the book a whole ton better. And those beta readers, when they read it the second time, they said the same thing, like, wow, this is so much a better story than it was when we read it the first time. So I recommend using both, but they are 2 different groups of people. They do have 2 different goals. Alpha readers are looking more for story, character, voice, big changes. Beta readers can still look for those big picture items, but then you're also going to look a little smaller. Hey, does this character's accent work? Does the way I end my chapters make you want to flip to the next one? Or do you feel like you can put the book down after a chapter and it's not a big deal? They have 2 different goals. You're using them at 2 different times in the writing, and you need to make sure they're separate. As a recap, let's go back over what we're looking for. What is an alpha reader? They read your book early on. What is a beta reader? They read your book when you're almost ready to send it to publication. How do you find them? You look at friends and family. You look at coworkers. You might find them in a writing group if you have a writing group. Those can be beta readers. Where do you find beta readers? Same people. You just look for expanded audience. You're looking for more people than you had with your alpha readers. Once you've found them, give them a concrete list of what you want them to do while they're reading it. You want them to take notes. You want them to ask about character, plot ideas, grammar if necessary. Whatever it may be that you want them to look for, ask them questions. Let them write it down. Give them focused feedback areas that you want them to give you, and then write your book. This has been WriterQuest. I'm Robert Gibson. Again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. I'll see you next episode. What do you do when you're done with your draft? It's the scariest question.